Good morning, everybody. It is so glad to be back with you. I have really missed you folks. I really have. We got a good show for you today. Old Ted Cruz. Is this is just it's great. It is freaking great. Ted Cruz is an idiot. He really is. He's just an idiot. And apparently his staff are idiots also. Because old Ted Cruz had a staffer that was at the refectory in it's basically a snack joint in Capitol Hill in the Senate, where you go and it's a little nook area. You can go, you get a cup of coffee, breakfast pastry, or snack or something like that. Well, he kind of lost track of what he was doing, and he left a folder there. Well, that folder had some really great information in it. It had detailed information on Ted Cruz's briefings on his fundraising for yesterday and today. And that folder was found by a reporter, an independent reporter, not a corporate media outlet. That wouldn't have done at all. They would have just taken it back and said, here's your information. We'd have never known any of it. This was an independent reporter. They found it and they published it online on Twitter. and Twitter, get this, Twitter took it down. They did. But because, you folks, several of you screenshotted the information. So we have it here to share with you today. You know how we talk about fundraising and whatnot, and the differences between Democrats and Republicans? You're going to get a firsthand look at it. So look, let's do it. Let's get it. Fill your cups. Get ready. It is time. Man, I really hope your coffee's as good as mine. It's really hitting home today. So y'all know that Ted Cruz has a solid opponent. And you have to forgive me. There's a lot of slideshows that we're going to be bouncing in, slides that we're going to be bouncing in and out of today. I want you to see these things firsthand. I'm going to show you these documents firsthand. You're going to love this. You are just going to love this. This is Ted Cruz's opponent down here in Texas. This is Colin Allred. Colin Allred's doing a great job. He is doing a great job. He's polling slightly ahead of Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is in trouble. He really is. And because he's in trouble, he's doing what politicians do when they're in trouble. He is running to get money. He is out there trying to make it happen. Katie Carroll, thank you so much for the support. I appreciate you. I really do. I really appreciate it. Keep the lights on around here. Keep things moving. So let's just dig right into it. Right now, as we speak, Ted Cruz is in a meeting. He is in a meeting right now as we speak on the 28th floor of this building in New York City. But we aren't going to start with this meeting. We're going to end with this meeting. We're going to circle back to this. This is where Ted Cruz is right now, begging for money. But we're going to start at his next meeting. because I really do want to come back to that. I want to come back to that. And the reason we know all this is this guy right here, Pablo Manriquez. He is the independent journalist that found all of these documents just laying in the snack area in the Capitol. Just absolutely loved the incompetence of Ted Cruz's staff. But this is Pablo Manriquez, and he has a message for those folks. Phantom Pup, thanks for the support, man. I really appreciate you. I really do. Thank you. He's got a message for folks that he's really catching hell from the corporate media. They are very angry about this. The MAGA are very angry about this. They're all like, why didn't you just return those documents? This is his Twitter page. If you want to follow him, it's pabloreports.com. Again, independent media getting it done. He has a message for those people that are complaining about the fact that he actually published this information. I would like to play that for you.
Hey, what's up, fam? Just a quick message to my haters who are calling me names on the internet for publishing Ted Cruz's donor itinerary for the next couple days. You can find my Venmo and my Cash App right below this tweet.
Love it. I love it. Hey, guy, I love his energy, man. I love his energy. So yeah, let's take a look at what we found. Like I said, folks screenshot it because Twitter took it down. They did. This was the information he published. He took pictures of each of the briefing documents for his meetings for the next day. But they took each one of these down. They've got the original, they left the original up, the original post up that said, news, someone, presumably a staffer, left a folder full of briefing documents on Ted Cruz's donors in the Senate refectory. Again, that's just a snack area where you can go buy a drink or a cup of coffee or something. According to the document, Senator Ted Cruz will dine at the Capitol Grill tonight at 7:30 p.m. This is the part that they all took down. At 7:30 p.m. with 8 donors who pledged $19,500. Here's the roster, complete with bios on fundraising, etc. Not important. That was last night. That was last night that he had this meeting, and you could really tell the difference, folks, because on how they treat the folks that have cash and are the big banging donors for the party, and just, I call them the poors. You people give me a hard time for saying that, because hell, I'm poor. I'm one of the poors. We're all the poors here. None of us are the big time folks that are getting the one-on-one meetings. We're these folks. We're the folks that end up piled into a table of 8 so that you can spend 45 minutes watching Ted Cruz chew his food with his mouth open. That was last night at the Capitol Grill. Yeah, Sherry Foster. Willie Mays passed, by the way, if you didn't know. If you're a baseball fan, you know Willie Mays passed. And thanks for bringing that up, Sherry. I appreciate you. Me too, Christy. Me too. But people really give me a hard time when I call them the poors because they think I'm picking on something. I'm one of the poors too. Thank you, Christy. I appreciate you for acknowledging that. But that was his meeting last night. This morning, like I said, he's in a current meeting, but we're going to circle back to that. His lunch at noon, that's noon Eastern, so about 11 o'clock our time, when we're getting close to wrapping up the show, old Ted is going to be meeting this guy. He is going to be meeting this guy. This is the briefing documents. This is what they're so pissed off about. This is an internal briefing document for Ted Cruz. We don't know. Ted Cruz may have left this himself. I doubt he runs and goes and gets his own coffee, but who knows? We don't know who left this there, but we're just so glad that he did. His 12 o'clock meeting is with Ambassador Ron Lauder, and they're going to meet at Cipriani. Now, Cipriani is a pretty swank place on Fifth Avenue. They are best known for this. They invented carpaccio, which I think is wholly frickin' disgusting. Carpaccio, if you don't know, is very thinly sliced raw beef. I mean, sliced like see-through thin, and then they drizzle a sauce on it, a very mild cream sauce. I mean, Caucasian spice, I guess you'd say, on top of it. Literally raw beef. They also invented the Bellini, by the way. The bar attached to it is called Harry's, and they invented the Bellini, which I love Bellinis, but you can keep your slices of raw beef. That is freaking gross. That is freaking gross. But that is where old Ted Cruz, he's going to Cipriani. He's going to have lunch with Ambassador Lauder. And I know you're probably saying, who's Ambassador Lauder? I don't know. You know him better by his company's namesake. He and his brother Leonard are the sole heirs to the Estee Lauder makeup conglomerate. He is old money, very old money. And he likes to donate to Republicans. He really does. He, just to give you some idea, in 2024, gave $500,000 to the Secure New York State PAC, $300,000 to the Elise Victory Fund. That would be Elise Stefanik. $58,000 in 2023, $58,000 to the New York Majority Makers, another Republican PAC. $475,000 to Urban Empowerment Action PAC, another Republican PAC. 2022, $450,000 to the National Horizon PAC. You get the idea. He is a big donor. He is an old blue blood Republican that is also very active in Jewish causes. He's got, I told you about these think tanks that they have. They all have his focuses on Israeli politics. He's a very big supporter of Benjamin Netanyahu, yada, yada, yada. So he wants to sit down and talk to Ted Cruz over lunch, and Ted Cruz is supposed to ask him for about 50 grand. So yeah, that's his lunch, folks. After lunch, he's going to meet with this guy, former Ambassador John Loeb. And I'm absolutely certain you've never heard of John Loeb. John Loeb, again, very, very old money. His father founded a company called Loeb Roads. You would know it better by its name in the early 80s, which would have been Loeb Roads and Lehman Brothers, which later on became Shearson Lehman Brothers when American Express bought them. But he didn't get hurt when Lehman Brothers triggered the housing crisis in 2008 and went bankrupt. Him and his money were long gone. And yeah, he is sitting down to meet with Ted Cruz at the Knickerbocker Club. What's the Knickerbocker Club? Well, you remember we were talking about old Ronnie Jackson and his club? You know, how the reciprocity thing and how they, he's got a membership at the Amarillo Club, but that buys him access to all the swanky clubs here in DC and what. Well, this isn't that. This is well above that. I want you to think about the movie Trading Places. It's called a gentleman's club, but we're not talking about a strip club. No, the Knickerbocker is a private gentleman's club in New York. I actually have an picture of it for you. This is the Knickerbocker. It's known as the Nick. It's known as the Nick in local terms. It is a well-known gentlemen's only club that, again, I want you to think about the movie Trading Places, the uber rich get together. They used to be extremely popular back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. I love you folks. I really do. Karen, I love you folks. Old Dutch money. That's right. The clubs would break down. The clubs would break down usually by ethnicity. Different groups would form different clubs, and the Knickerbocker Club came out of old Dutch money. Because you remember the Dutch influence in New York. I mean, I love that you folks are so fun. I have missed you folks so much. I really do. I have missed you folks so much. I have. I am so glad to be back with you. But yeah, the Knickerbocker, the Nick, is a really swanky place that they're going to get together and sip cognac and talk about whatever the ambassador wants from Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz is going to ask him for a boatload of money. And then, and then from there, after about an hour and a half of sitting around and sipping cognac after lunch, Karen, thank you for the support. I appreciate you keeping the lights on around here, keeping it loud. I appreciate you. Thank you. After sitting down for some drinks after lunch with the ambassador, he's going to head to Mike Novogratz's house, personal residence. He's going to make a house call. Folks, it ain't cheap to have a senator show up at your personal residence for a one-on-one meeting. That does not come cheap at all. Mr. Novogratz here runs an investment firm that specializes in digital currency. He is nouveau money. He is not old money. He is very new money that is, let's be honest, they're buying access. They're buying access. That's what they're doing, folks. You want a clear picture of what they're doing, what Mike Novogratz is doing from 3:30 to 4:30. This is what Mike Novogratz is doing. You may remember this picture. I shared it in a previous show with you, but it really came to mind. This is Ted Cruz at Harlan Crow's house. I'm sure Ted Cruz. Do you think Ted Cruz has seen Harlan Crow's private Nazi memorabilia collection? Do you think maybe he's gotten a firsthand tour? I mean, this is Ted Cruz with Harlan Crow, and who's that guy in the middle? Oh yeah, Clarence Thomas. I will not call him Clarence Thomas anymore. That is Clarence Thomas. They are all at Harlan Crow's home here in Texas. Well, what are they doing there? In this picture, they're swearing in Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals judge, Federalist Society judge, James Ho. Must be nice to have enough money that they will show up to your house to get the bribes. Yeah, I mean, it really must be nice to have that much money. Yeah, James Ho, Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. What's the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals known for? That's this Texas, Louisiana area, right? Carve out area right there that is super business friendly. Every corporation that ever wants to sue about anything goes through the Fifth Circuit. They go judge shopping down here. So that goes through the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Why? I don't know. You tell me. James Ho is sitting in Harlan Crow's house being sworn in, not on his bench, not in the court, not at his home, not at his alma mater. He's at Harlan Crow's house being sworn in. Yeah. Did Uber Eats deliver that judge to Harlan Crow? I mean, really? Sharon, thanks for the support. Science fiction agrees with the notorious RPG. The pendulum will swing. See you at the ballot box in November. Amen. That's where we're going. I am trying to piss you off, people. I am trying to piss you off. I am showing you this stuff firsthand so you can see it with your own eyes and you can see the bullshit that I've been telling you. You know, I showed you. I showed you. Ronnie Jackson, or do we call him Ronnie Johnson now? Because Trump couldn't remember Ronnie Jackson's name. I mean, he was just freaking the doctor that, his White House doctor that called him the fittest man on the face of the planet and gave him the cognitive test he aced, couldn't remember his name. He's Ronnie Johnson now because, the cult can't ever say Trump is wrong. So I guess Ronnie Jackson is Ronnie Johnson now. I don't know. I don't know. But I showed you Ronnie Johnson and his club membership, and the Amarillo Club, which is in the tallest building. Once you leave Dallas, the tallest building between Dallas and Denver is where the Amarillo Club is. I like that energy, Frank. I like that energy. Keep on. Forgive me for looking down. I'm reading your comments. I'm kind of on my own today. I'm reading your comments and going, but yeah, that's what Ted Cruz was doing. He was over, collecting him some Bitcoin donations. I mean, I'm sure that guy didn't want anything particular to do with the regulation of digital currency or anything like that. I'm sure he had no intent on influencing that whatsoever. This one actually is my favorite one, though. This is the next stop. This one is a publisher by the name of Marvin Shanken. And Marvin, this is Marvin's favorite picture, by the way. I'm gonna pull you up Marvin's favorite. This is the one that shows up for everything for Marvin. Marvin, Marvin is the publisher of Wine Spectator magazine and the publisher of Cigar Aficionado. So, after going and having some nice Carpaccio at Cipriani, they're going to go to the Knickerbocker Club and have some cognac, beg for some money there. And then, they're going to go to Mr. Novograt's private residence there. I guess probably use the bathroom or something, beg him for some money and talk about, how much Bitcoin and Ethereum that they can make together. Then he's going to head over to Marvin's office, which is on 8th Avenue. Doing a lot of driving around New York today. My Texas senator is doing a lot of driving around New York today. Now, old Marvin Shanken, I guess they're going to smoke some cigars and drink some wine, is a pretty big donor. He really is. He's pretty active. Old Marvin Shanken, back in 2024, gave 25 grand, earlier this year, gave 25 grand to the Ted Cruz Victory Fund. Also gave 10,000 to the Republican Party of Texas. New York publisher, I'm sure, has a reason for that, but I don't know. $6,600 to Restore Our Nation PAC. Back in 2023, $5,400 to Pete King. You remember that dirt bag, Peter King. And $7,700 in 2018 to the Ted Cruz Victory Committee. So yeah, he's got a history. They hang out. They know each other. There will be hugs, I'm sure. But yeah, that was one of my favorite ones. Wine Spectator and Cigar Aficionado publisher. They're gonna go hang out. Not exactly sure what. I don't know. You folks are smart. Can you give me any reason why, other than Marvin Shanken? I don't know. That's the one that really bewildered me. Why? Why? What? Not on Ted. I know why Ted Cruz is there. He give me some money. Give me some money. And remember, folks. Remember we talked about when there were there. You know, the chaos in the House, and we ended up with Preacher Johnson, and then it looked like he may get kicked out, and all the other stuff. And folks were like, "We only need a couple Republicans to switch parties, man. That's it." And I was telling you, that's not going to happen. You know, I was telling you that's not going to happen. It's because of this. When a Democratic congressman or senator gets into office, the first thing they do, the re-election committee for whatever side of the house you're in, grabs you by the ear. They take you to their offices and they sit you down in a cubicle and they hand you a list and say, start calling. You need to raise X amount of dollars before your next re-election or you are out, buddy. Start calling. Here's your call list. Yeah, but no, Republicans don't do that. Republicans get pimped out. Shannon C. says, of course he is busy in another state while his state has coastal storms. He always, he always heads out when it gets messy in here. Yeah, I know what you meant there, Shannon. I do. I know what you meant there. He hauls ass to Cancun is what he does. Barbara, thanks for the support. I appreciate you. I really do. But yeah, I mean, Cancun Cruz, man, Ted Cruz, Texas senator, all over New York City. But you know that's not the end of his day. That is not the end of his day. From 5 to 6:15, they're going to have a little aperitif, get the appetite up, smoke a few cigars, maybe drink a little wine, then back to the Knickerbocker Club for dinner. Going back to the Nick to meet someone else. And who's he going to go meet? Dr. James Ribel. Guy you never heard of. But he's very consequential to tens of millions of Americans because he runs a health insurance company called Preferred Healthcare. Yeah, I mean, it's just really frustrating. You know, these issues are incredibly important to your average American. And here we have Ted Cruz making house calls, going to see James Ribel at the Knickerbocker Club for dinner, going sipping cognac, however you pronounce it. But that's not really the one that bothers me and angers me. The one that really, really got under my skin and got me really upset was this one. This is Peter Thorne. This is Peter Thorne. Like a nice looking guy, right? I mean, he looks friendly. This kind of guy, you know, I mean, you just saw this guy would not bother you if you saw him. I mean, he looks like Mr. Frickin' Rogers almost, you know? Well, he's not. He is the executive vice president of a huge conglomerate called Access Group. And according to Ted Cruz's own briefings, let me pull it up for you. He is the gatekeeper. And it says right here. I mean, in the briefing for him, they wanted him to know he is the gatekeeper for the founder and chairman of Access Industry, Len Blavatnik. See, Len Blavatnik's one of the richest men in the world. I'm sure you've never heard of the guy. But we really need to talk about this. When I showed you that building, yeah, a United States Senator flew to New York, and as we speak, he is sitting in that building with Peter Thorin, the gatekeeper to Len Blavatnik. And when I say that, I'm using their words. It's written right here. He is the gatekeeper. You want access to Len Blavatnik? You go through Peter Thorin. This is Len Blavatnik. And this is the important part. I want you to bear with me. I want you to stay with me for a little bit. Len Blavatnik was born in the Soviet Union in what is today Ukraine. It's Ukraine. He was born in Ukraine, in the Soviet Union. But he is not, we're very fond of Ukrainians right now. This is not that. Back in 1978, his family hauled ass. They came here to America. They fled the Soviet Union. And as soon as the Soviet Union fell, they hauled ass back. Bingo! Bingo! He is one of the original oligarchs. There's a group of guys right after the Soviet Union fell, and they cleaned up. I told you the story of Oleg Deripaska. Basically, he just showed up at an aluminum plant. Yeah, a gangster showed up at an aluminum plant and said, "This is mine now." And it was. That's who these guys were. I mean, they were basically Russian mafia. Mikhail Friedman is one of them. You know him better. This is Len Blavatnik's business partners. Mikhail Friedman, you know him better. He formed a consortium called Alpha Group. Together, they formed a group called Alpha Access Renewal, AAR, Alpha Access Renewal. For some reason, they all like to take parts of that and name their own companies parts of it. So Mikhail Friedman formed Alpha Group Consortium. You remember Alpha Bank? Yeah, that's just one of his assets. This is the level of rich we're talking about. This is what I want you to understand. This is who Ted Cruz is in a meeting with right now. He is begging for money from these people. Mikhail Friedman, Alpha Bank, Alpha Capital, GM Oil. These are all his assets. We're talking about mega billionaires. Remember Alpha Bank? Remember in the election, during the Russia investigation, they were, why the hell is Donald Trump's campaign server pinging a server in a Russian bank called Alpha Bank? And nobody ever answered that question. Not to us, anyways. That was Mikhail Friedman, Len Blavatnik's partner. Another one of the partners is Viktor Vekselberg. His name has come up a lot because he's still very tight with Putin, and he is under sanctions. They have been criminally prosecuting people that Viktor Vekselberg has been using to skirt sanctions. And let me give you an idea how the kind of money we're talking about. Viktor Vekselberg just bought 9 Fabergé eggs a few years back from the Forbes family. Wild guess how much he paid for them. Wild guess. Just anybody. Just throw a number out. You won't get it. 9 Fabergé eggs. $100 million. $100 million. Trina Langa in the house. Denmark in the house. Good to see you, Trina. Good to see you. $100 million just for a bit of art. Yeah, for some jewel eggs. $100 million. I mean, this is the kind of money we're talking about. This is the kind of money we're talking about. Vexelberg, his partner is Oleg Deripaska, who buddied up to Glitch McConnell. You remember the aluminum plant that was supposed to be built in Kentucky that never got built when old Mitch was up for re-election and he was getting hammered as Moscow Mitch and all that other, and then all after the election, the aluminum plant just kind of vaporized and went away and never got built. That was Oleg Deripaska. Another partner for Lev Blavatnik. Katie Carroll, thank you very much for the support. I appreciate all your patronage. Another Republican trader courting Russian money. Exactly. And a lot of it. So let's talk about Blavatnik himself, because this is the guy he's meeting. Well, Blavatnik, there are tiers. I've told you, Russia is no longer any kind of republic. It is not. It is a monarchy. It is. Putin is widely accepted as the wealthiest man in the world, with conservative estimates of his wealth being $200 billion. Pardon me, billion with a B. Around him, you've got guys that have stayed close to him, like Vexelberg, who's helped him skirt sanctions and being prosecuted for it. Friedman and Alpha Bank and Oleg Deripaska, all of these guys stayed very close to Putin. On the skirt outside that, you have Len Blavatnik. Len Blavatnik has tried very, very hard to ingratiate him and become very, very, very Western. Len Blavatnik is the number one reason they gave London the nickname Londongrad. His home, I think I got a picture of it here for you, okay? Royal Kensington Gardens is the wealthiest. His street is the wealthiest street in the United Kingdom. This is his home. It's a historic home. They can't really do anything. Just to give you an idea of the kind of money these people have, okay? He got into a bidding war with another oligarch by the name of Abramovich, who's not really relevant to this, for this house about 20 years ago. He ends up paying $40 million, which was just a ton of money at the time. This house is estimated 10 years ago to be worth $200 million. He gutted the house, completely renovated. It's historical, so they can't do anything. He can't go up with it. He can't go out with it. So what does he do? He did things like took the stables. He took the stables and converted those to security. That is a security headquarters on his property in Royal Kensington Gardens in London. Then he took all the windows out and had them replaced with blast-proof, not bulletproof, blast-proof glass. It is a frickin' fortress. And then, since he couldn't build up, they excavated down and engineered under that home a multi-floor car park garage, a workout area, a wine cellar, a massage studio, and a cinema under the house. Thank you, Steve McLeod. Thank you. Stupid money. This guy has freaking stupid money. He's got the kind of money he wanted to buy his kid a job. Valentine. If you're going to get your kid a job in the business, I mean, what do you think a guy like that does? I mean, if you want to get your kid a job, something that'd be fun. He bought Warner Music. Yeah. He bought Warner Music. Gave his kid a job running that. So he could hang out with the celebrities. but that's not it, man. I mean, I told you, Russia has converted to a monarchy. These guys don't want to be gangsters. They don't want to be known as gangsters. That's why they're doing things like buying Fabergé eggs. They're trying to buy class. They're trying to buy into that society. And it worked for Blavatnik because he is now known as Sir Leonard Blavatnik. Not kidding. Sir Leonard. Yeah. Sir Leonard Blavatnik. Let me tell you, how did he do it? This is how he did it. Lots and lots of money. This is Blavatnik shaking hands, getting his medal. That's called the Sheldon Medal. They give it away at Oxford. What's the Sheldon Medal for? You just gave me a shitload of money medal. That's what it is. Literally. Literally. That is the university chancellor at Oxford shaking hands. That is Lord Patton. You getting that? Lord Patton shaking hands with Len Blavatnik. You got to give a lot of freaking money. Yeah, Karen. Knighted. You got to give a lot of freaking money to make that happen. Harvard, the Hudson Institute. This guy gives hundreds of millions of dollars to these university systems, and they are giving him tons of freaking awards. That's why he has a gatekeeper. And where does that money come from? Like I said, not only did he go back to the Soviet Union and is he all tied in with the oligarchs and tied into the oil business and the aluminum business. No. Like I said, this is how Londongrad got its name. He owns luxury hotels all over the world. The FINA Group is in Buenos Aires, Miami. Where else is FINA Group? I don't remember. FINA Group. Let me look it up real quick. FINA Group. Buenos Aires are Buenos Aires and Miami Beach. But that's not it. He owns this little patch of property also on the French Riviera. Hotel Cap Ferrat. Now, I know this is a Four Seasons hotel. That's who manages it. It's owned by SST Investments, which is Len Blavatnik. But it's managed by Four Seasons. This is on the French Riviera, folks. These are the kinds of things that he went out and took his money that he took out of Russia and bought. I mean, you are really wealthy when you could afford to buy 7 acres on the French Riviera with a hotel on it. That is big time cash. And by the way, if you want to know who owns the Four Seasons, who manages it for him? Bill Gates. Bill Gates and Prince Al Walid from Saudi Arabia are partners that own the Four Seasons. But he's got but not just hotels, folks. He's not just in the hotels. He's got luxury apartments. He owns one of the most exclusive buildings in Manhattan. With he sells luxury apartment buildings in Manhattan. He's got property, just all over the freaking world. But he owns a refinery here in Texas, down in La Porte, Texas, where they refine polyolefins. Think about the chemicals that they use to manufacture just about everything else. He is in everything. And Ted Cruz is begging money off of him right now. It is 11:45. Ted Cruz is wrapping up, getting off his knees, dusting them off, shaking hands, and on his way out the door. And you ask me, how does the Republican Party become the Russia Party? You want to know who these people contribute to? One second. Let me pull it up here. Recent contributions. This is Thorin and his contributions. 50 grand to the Cornyn Victory Committee, the other senator from here in Texas. Why do you think they all give money here in Texas? I told you, my state has become a freaking tax dodge. They own the judges here. You cannot sue a corporation because they wholly own the Republican Party here in the state of Texas. They own the judges. They own all of it. They gave $50K to John Cornyn, gave $3,300 to Ted Cruz already this year, probably more after today's meeting. $6,600 to Rick Scott and John Barrasso, $3,300 to Suarez for president, $50,000 to Scalise, the Scalise leadership. Scalise and Elise Stefanik are on all of these guys' lists. They are in like everybody's freaking pocket. $200,000 to take back the House PAC in 2022, the 2022 election that we showed up. And that's where I'm going with this, folks. $250,000 to the McCarthy Victory Fund, $150,000 to the McCarthy Victory Fund in 2020 and 2021. Yeah, folks. But again, you showed up. And their money didn't matter in 2022. They were supposed to kill us in 2022. That midterm was supposed to be the end of the Democratic Party. What happened? Blue wave. Because you showed up. And here Ted Cruz is out and thank God, because he's got an incompetent staffer. Ted Cruz is out there sucking money out of Lynn Blavatnik. Actually, to be honest with you, he's not. That's where the influence comes from. Ted Cruz doesn't rate to be in the same room with Lynn Blavatnik. He's got to meet his gatekeeper, Thorne. But you ask me, folks, how exactly do the Russians get control? How do they have so much influence? Right here. The Republicans are going to them. Hands out. In broad daylight. Give me money. Putin's inner circle. Give me money. And you wonder why They're so beholden to Putin. The rest of us are trying to stop World War III from breaking out in Europe and the reconstitution of the Soviet Union. And you've got people like Marjorie Trader Green trying to end all funding for our government to help Putin, to try to kill funding for Ukraine. And you wonder how it happens. Well, I've shown you the briefing memos. ET, thanks for the support, my friend. I appreciate all of you. I really do. I appreciate all of you. Thanks for keeping it loud. Thanks for supporting the show. You allow me to do this full time, and I'm very grateful. And God, I've missed you people. I really have. I have missed doing this. It is less than 20 weeks until the general election. Make sure of your voter registration deadlines. Make sure when your early voting starts and stops, make sure to go and vote. Amen. Amen. That's where I'm going with this, folks. This is what Ted Cruz is doing. And he got caught. He got caught. But it doesn't matter if you just show up. They can buy Ted Cruz. They can. And they have. They have. There's a reason that when James Ho was at the swearing in, Clarence Thomas flew from D.C. to Dallas, Texas. I'm sure he flew on a private jet. D.C. to Dallas, Texas. Ted Cruz flew from D.C. to Dallas, Texas, because his ass sure as hell ain't here. He's in D.C. or New York City, but he ain't here. To be at Harlan Crow's personal residence for the swearing in of James Ho, who had his swearing in ceremony in Harlan Crow's living room. Do you see how they buy a judge? Do you see what their money pays for? Can you see the nexus down here in Texas? My idiot governor brags about all the ways he's filleting Elon Musk. He's passing the infrastructure costs onto us, onto our backs, the people of California and the people of Texas. Elon Musk built Tesla in California. Then when it came time to pay the taxes, moved here to Texas where you don't pay income taxes. I mean, folks, you see it right in front of you. I'm showing it to you. Thanks to Ted Cruz, idiot staffer, they're showing it to you. I mean, do you think the old blue bloods over at Estee Lauder have the same interests in our country that you do? Not even close. Robin, thank you. Robin Masters says, calling all red for senator, send Cruz back to Cancun. Right. How do we do that, though? Estee Lauder's not, Ron Lauder's not showing up. Colin Allred's not in New York picking up checks at the Nick. It's us, man. It's us. That's it. Us. We're it. Ain't nobody coming to save us. In fact, they're working against us. They all have institutes and think tanks. They all funnel money through PACs. They all have senators and congressmen that make house calls. I mean, really, I want you to think about that for just a second. How much money do you think you got to give for a senator to show up at your house? I got news for you. It ain't 10 grand. It ain't 20 grand. It ain't 30 grand. You want a senator to get on a plane and fly to your swanky place in New York City, I guarantee you that PAC is getting something in the order of 6 figures. Cecile Kazemi, Ted Cruz is the real despicable me, not a thought about Texas. It's all about power and money, not a thought about Texas. It's all about power and money. Exactly. Ted Cruz don't give a shit about our busted ass power grid and the fact that we're the only idiot state that has their own separate power grid. You know, they could put an end to that if they wanted to. They don't. Sharon Reddy says, your vote always counts. You may not win, but that vote is counted right down to how many didn't agree with their majority. Folks, too true. I don't care if you think you're going to lose. Show up. Because I guarantee you there are so many freaking people out there. You have no idea the small fraction of the people that are the actual voters. There's so many more people out there that don't vote. Get your people to the polls. Go and vote. I don't care if you're in the bloodiest blood red district. Show up and vote. Because at the very least, you'll make it competitive. You'll make them have to spend money. You'll have make old Ron Lauder have to open up his checkbook and write checks to fight fights he never thought he was going to have to fight. And that's how we overwhelm them. Because there's so many more of us than there are them. New Kid, thank you for the support, man. I know $20 is a lot of cash, and I really appreciate you. Yes, sir. May I have some more and some more money for information? Yeah. What do you think? What do you think Ted Cruz is giving them? I mean, he didn't make this trip for a plate of carpaccio, I guarantee you. Peter Campbell. I always got good ones, man. They don't buy them. They're just leased to own. It's like, yeah, like a beer. Make your plan to vote. We, the people, are the solution to this problem. Amen. Couldn't have said it better myself. Amen. A freaking men. You can do this. You can keep them from doing this. Because I promise you, right now, the same people that are out there writing checks are closely associated with this guy who is not in New York, not in Moscow. He's in North Korea. He's meeting with Kim Jong-un. You've got King Putin, Emperor Putin, meeting with the Emperor of North Korea. These aren't governments anymore, folks. They're meeting right now in North Korea. And I promise you, your interests are not what they're talking about. Russia is a terrorist state. They are. They are a terrorist state and a freaking monarchy. And you've got people like Ted Cruz that are just out in the open, middle of daylight, go into their offices to pick up the checks. I mean, it's not, they're not even using like a third-party bag man. They don't feel like they have to hide it. Folks, we've got to do something about this. The two parties are not the same. Every time you see some idiot, oh, the two parties have the same owners. Bullshit. There's a story we're going to talk about in the next show. They just passed a regulation here in the state of Texas that influencers have to divulge if they're paid to influence. I freaking love it. I love it. Because you know what we found out? You remember Brad Parscale? We'll talk about it more in another show. I don't want to get too deep into it. But you know Brad Parscale? Remember him from the Trump campaign? Crazy looking dude, wore the fucking fur coats. Pardon my language. Yeah, that dude was paying influencers down here in Texas when Evil Popeye was being impeached. They were paying them to go after Dade Fallon and a bunch of other Republicans. And what happened? They all fell in line. And the Texas Tribune did their due diligence, good journalistic organization, busted them. So now they've passed a regulation that says, hey, if you're paying influencers, you got to disclose it. And I think it's fucking great. I think it's freaking great because you people fund me. That's it. That's it. There's no Democratic Party, no candidate, no nothing, no special interest that's paying me. I take that back. A guy sent me a bag of coffee because he roasts coffee and he wanted me to try it. That's it. That's it. But those people that are on social media accusing people like me of being, well, you're a paid shill. Turns out they're paid shills. And who's paying them? Emperor Putin. The money always gets back to Emperor Putin. Folks, they don't have our interests in mind. They don't. They've bought themselves a political party. There is no fixing it. There's no old school, let's get together and work together and compromise and work things out. That's gone. That's gone. How do you even pretend that's still around? You have Trump's campaign manager sending internal polling data, internal polling data directly to the Russians so that they can turn around and use them to target us digitally. We've got to end them. And you can. That's the beautiful part, folks. And that's what I want to wrap this up with. You can. We outnumber them so greatly that we can end the Republican Party. We can win these elections in what are now considered red states. They're not red states. They're not. They're states full of apathy, voter apathy. Do it, man. Get your people out. Show them the 2025 project. Show them the things that they're doing. I've got for next Friday's show, we're going to talk about, I've got a Republican candidate on the record saying that as part of the 2025 project, we want to suspend habeas corpus. Yeah. Anyways, we'll talk about it Friday. Thank you for being here, folks. So glad to be back with you. And thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the donations. Visit the Texas Paul store, pick you up a cup. We're a little bit delayed in getting the tumblers out because quality control, man. I'm not going to half-ass anything I do. They're going to be perfect or we're not going to do them. But the tumblers will be coming out for summer. You be able to have cold drinks. Thanks for the support. Everything you do, because I am not paid by a campaign or a political party or anybody. I just bring you good information. And I hope the information you got today is something you can use. Love you, folks. This is Old Texas Paul out. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.